Well, good evening once again. Day 1211 of this Trump administration, 173 days until our next presidential election. The president wondered aloud in his public remarks today about whether or not coronavirus testing is overrated. He said it could be overrated. He followed that up with, maybe it is overrated. Today, he took his message about reopening the economy to Pennsylvania, where he toured a company that made face masks and other PPE equipment while pointedly not wearing a mask himself. Trump's been pressuring the governor of Pennsylvania, a Democrat, to move faster to lift restrictions. Tonight, we're learning that New York's governor has extended the stay-at-home orders for some areas till June 13th. That directive has been lifted for other parts of the state, however. Latest unemployment figures in our country show over 36 million people are now out of work since the shutdown started about mid-March. As of our airtime tonight, the death toll in our country is 86,676. The president spent much of his time in Pennsylvania talking up his administration's efforts to respond to the pandemic, particularly when it comes to that subject of testing.
We've been doing testing at a level that nobody's ever done it before. We have the best testing in the world. It could be the testing's, frankly, overrated. Maybe it is overrated. But whatever they start yelling, we want more, we want more. You know, they always say we want more because they don't want to give you credit. Don't forget, we have more cases than anybody in the world. But why? Because we do more testing. When you test, you have a case. When you test, you find something is wrong with people. If we didn't do any testing, we would have very few cases.
Just a point of order here. So far, just over 10 million Americans have been tested. Little more than 3% of the population, though, as you heard, the president has started to point out routinely the only reason we have so many cases is because we do so much testing. Just hours before Trump made those remarks, Dr. Rick Bright, the government scientist who used to be in charge of developing vaccines for diseases like COVID-19, gave Congress a damning and no-holds-barred assessment of the White House handling of the pandemic. Dr. Bright says we are running out of time to contain this. He is the first federal health official to publicly criticize the Trump administration on this issue. His testimony comes at a critical point for the administration, just as it's trying to encourage the public to resume life as it was before the outbreak.
We need a national testing strategy. The virus is here. It's everywhere. We need to be able to find it, isolate it, and stop it. There is no master coordinated plan on how to respond to this outbreak. We don't have a strategy or plan in place that identifies each of those critical components, and we don't have a designated agency that is sourcing those critical components. I'll never forget the emails I received from Mike Bowen and indicating that our mask supply or N95 respirator supply was completely decimated. And he said, we're in deep shit. The world is, and we need to act. And I pushed that forward to the highest levels I could in HHS and got no response.
When would you bet that we would that we would have a vaccine?
A lot of optimism is swirling around a 12 to 18 month time frame. If everything goes perfectly, we've never seen everything go perfectly.
Dr. Bright has filed a formal whistleblower complaint alleging he was ousted, reassigned to another government job in retaliation specifically for speaking out and refusing to buckle to political pressure. The White House had this reaction to Dr. Bright's testimony.
He's nothing more than a really disgruntled, unhappy person. I watched him, and he looks like an angry, disgruntled employee who, frankly, according to some people, didn't do a very good job.
Everything he's complaining about was achieved. Everything he talked about was done. Oh, and by the way, whose job was it to actually lead the development of vaccines? Dr. Bright. So while we're launching Operation Warp Speed, he's not showing up for work to be part of that.
Any questions about whether or not Health Secretary Azar is on board were answered with that today. As the hearing was unfolding, a little more than an hour after Bright said the White House had no plan for the pandemic, we heard this from the White House press secretary.
I just wanted to outline our pandemic preparedness. The Obama-Biden plan that has been referenced was insufficient, wasn't going to work. So what our administration did under the leadership of President Trump is do an entire 2018 pandemic preparedness report. Beyond that, we did a whole exercise on pandemic preparedness in August of last year and had an entire after-action report put together. We'll have a full update tomorrow for you guys at the briefing, line by line, of how prepared we were for this pandemic.
Also today, the Centers for Disease Control finally posted its guidance for reopening communities across our country and schools and workplaces after several AP reports surfaced about how the White House shelved an earlier draft and ordered the agency to revise it. Politico reporting the new recommendations, quote, which appear to be watered down from previously leaked versions, provide brief checklists meant to help key businesses and others operating in public reopen safely. There are also developments in the federal investigation into whether or not U.S. senators who received briefings just as the coronavirus was hitting the U.S. in turn used that information to dump stocks to stem their own financial losses. North Carolina Republican Senator Richard Burr says he will step down as Senate Intelligence Committee chair one day after federal agents seized his cell phone as part of an inquiry into stock trades he made at the beginning of the outbreak. This afternoon, Burr explained why he decided to step aside.
This is a distraction to the hard work of the committee and the members, and I think the security of the country is too important to have a distraction.
California Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein says the FBI asked her questions about her stock trades, which she says were made by her husband. Georgia Republican Senator Kelly Loeffler's office now says that she has sent her information and documents to the FBI and Justice Department. And this also caught our attention. The Washington Post reporting tonight federal records show that the government has paid at least $970,000 to the Trump Organization since the president took office. That number would include payments for more than 1,600 nightly room rentals at Trump's hotels and clubs.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.